Hello, everyone. Very good afternoon, and welcome to a very, very special episode of Homechoir. This one's probably going to generate more than just music. It's going to generate a whole load of discussion, possibly some controversy, and definitely some emails. So I'm going to start off by welcoming everyone and just asking you to remind you to have an open mind as you watch this session, to bear in mind we're doing this as a bit of fun. I will explain our intentions, but none of them include putting people out of a job. And all of this is about just keeping up with what's going on in the world of technology. So remember to be kind online. As you're here in the live chat, those of you here, I'm sure you'll be supportive and kind. And everyone watching later, just remember, we're all human, apart from the AI. All right, so we're going to be looking today at a very controversial subject. Can artificial intelligence do the job that, well, one of Mozart's students was forced to do in 1791? We will explore, we will discuss, we will listen. I shall leave it to you to make the ultimate decision as to whether you think the technology is there yet. I certainly have my opinions, and we'll be starting in just a moment, but people are not shouting no sound at me, which is always a good start. I'm just going to press a couple of keys here, and bit of actual Mozart to get us started. If I press this button, do we hear the lacrimosa? We do. And if I press this button, do we hear some AI generated music? Let's find out, shall we? Because my goodness me, the stuff this has come up with just this morning. Just you wait. Well, everyone, welcome to our special session this Thursday. We don't normally broadcast on a Thursday, but this is a live stream exploring the latest developments in the world of AI music. Now, those of you that are subscribers to the channel, maybe you've seen some of our other AI content. You've actually seen an awful lot of AI generated content here on the channel, as we often use it either to generate the images that you see in our title cards, or quite often, actually more often, to take an existing public domain photograph and extend it so that we can subsequently use it in a title card. We've used AI to help us with our guide tracks as well, and we've actually put out a couple of specials looking at, well, how AI is getting on in the world of choral music specifically, as this does seem to be a bit of a niche. And I have to say, I believe personally, and this is me setting up my stall right at the beginning of our session, I believe Mozart, if he'd had access to this, he would have used it. He would have used every tool at his disposal to further his creative art. And that's a really important consideration to make. There are those out there, many of them are musicians and composers, who are very threatened by AI. They think it's going to replace them. We are not here to replace composers. That being said, I have given this session a somewhat clickbaity title. Can AI finish Mozart's Requiem, brackets, Suno versus Zusmeyer? I do concede that is slightly controversial in terms of title, and so just bear in mind, as I say, we're not trying to replace composers. We are exploring these new tools, which I believe are going to make creating music easier for everyone, and it's going to make composers even more powerful. It's going to mean that someone who could currently sit down and write a symphony could actually feasibly write 100, 1,000 symphonies and make the very, very best use of this technology. We're also not trying to replace choirs, okay? So if you're singing the choir, this isn't about replacing you. Orchestras, soloists, conductors, concert hall concerts, it's just a bit of fun with publicly available software. And these are the two bits of software we're going to be using, Suno and Udio. Those of you that are familiar with the channel will know that we are no strangers to these two websites. They do have free plans where you can go along, and that they are limited in that you can only generate a certain number of pieces per day. If you want to make better use of it and more extensive use, you do have to pay. Please make sure that you go to these specific addresses rather than just typing in Udio, as there are nefarious sites out there that masquerade as Suno and Udio, and will be quite happy to take your money and more besides. So always make sure it's https://. That means it's a secure website, and then it's suno.com or udio.com. So, all that being said, those are the terms and conditions. Let's talk a little bit about the background to this session. And I've got a bit of mood music here. Quite appropriately, let's have a little bit of Mozart's Requiem. So this, of course, is Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, who died on December the 5th, 1791, leaving a wife, Constanza, his 2 children, and an unfinished Requiem Mass. Now, Mozart's widow Constanza, who you can see photographed here in 1840, she is the figure on the far left there with the white bonnet. She was left, well, literally holding the baby. Her youngest son, Franz Xavier, wasn't even 1 when Mozart died, and so she needed money. She commissioned a number of colleagues and students to complete Mozart's work. And the first of them was this chap here. This is Joseph Leopold Ebler. And he was commissioned to complete the missing parts of the Requiem that Mozart had already started. So pieces like the Dies Irae, the Recordare, and so on. These pieces existed as skeleton scores, and Ebler came in and sort of filled in the blanks. And let's just say he was heavily inspired when he came to write his own Requiem, much of which bears a lot in common with Mozart's amazing work. Unfortunately, he was not brave enough to tackle the missing movements, that is the finishing off the Lacrimosa, which you can hear in the background here, and composing brand new movements for the Sanctus, the Benedictus, and the Agnus Dei. And it was to Mozart's student, Franz Xavier Süssmayr, that Constanza turned and gave him the job, the unenviable task, of completing these movements. And by the way, this is not Franz Xavier Süssmayr. This is Franz Xavier Mozart. This is the youngest son of Wolfgang and Constanza. He was born in the summer of 1791, so only a few months before Mozart died, and named for Süssmayr, which I think shows the love and affection that the family had for this composer. So as far as we're concerned, we don't know what Süssmayr looked like, but we do know that he was a very, very hard worker. He worked incredibly hard from the end of December 1791 and through January and February of 1792 to produce these missing movements, and the work was completed in March. It was then delivered to Count von Walsegg, who had originally commissioned it, meaning that Constanza could be paid the money that she was owed. And it was first performed in December 1793 in Vienna. And although Süssmayr worked incredibly hard to complete the Requiem, various scholars over the years have derided his efforts and said they could do better. Now we're going to look at whether technology can do anything like the job he did back then, but in a fraction of the time. You know, I don't think he did a bad job, all being said. But let's have a look at what we're going to use to prompt these amazing bits of technology. So in order to get AI music to produce any kind of music, just like with any other piece of AI, you need to tell it what you want it to do. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use the words for each of the 3 movements we're going to create today: Sanctus, Benedictus, and Agnus Dei. These are straightforward reproductions of the text as set by countless composers over the years, but the prompt we're going to use is subtly different for each one. So the prompt here at the top for the Sanctus is classical chorus and orchestra, Mozart Requiem, joyful, joyous, bright, Hosanna, major. These are all just words that are, when you listen to a Sanctus, they come to mind, okay? And this is what I want it to sound like. I have repeated the Hosanna in Excelsis, or Excelsis, or Excelsis, however you want to call it, at the end 3 times. Otherwise, it just tends to sing it once, and that's it. For the Benedictus, it's very similar. Classical solo singers this time, because of course Süssmayr wrote a quartet for soloists. I've made sure though, choir, chorus, orchestra, Mozart Requiem, this time gentle, beautiful, lyrical, Hosanna, and again major. We want a major tonality for this warm movement. And I've repeated a couple of the lines because it is a very short verse otherwise, and it would be over in 30 seconds. So I've repeated Benedictus qui venit, qui venit in nomine Domini. Again, just pulling a little bit of inspiration from how Zusmeyer set the text. And then finally, Agnus Dei. This is the one that is, I suppose, the most different, as it should be slower and it should be more mournful. So I've written here classical choir, chorus, orchestra, Mozart Requiem, sad, beautiful, mournful, adagio, slow, minor key. And I've put here Agnus Dei 3 times, which is exactly how Zusmeyer set it as well. One quick note on this. When I've created a couple of these in advance. Those of you in the UK will recognise the expression, here's one I prepared earlier. Well, these things do take a bit of time. These pieces of music take some time to generate. And so whilst we're waiting for things to be generated live here on this live stream, I do have some that I prepared about an hour or 2 ago. And when I fed Agnus Dei to Suno, there were no problems. When I fed Agnus Dei to Udio, it flagged it up as copyrighted lyrics, and it wouldn't let me generate the music. So I've had to write Agnus Dei out phonetically. It still sounds right, but this is just one of the things that has caused a little bit of well, a little bit of interest in the creation of this. And when people say, why are we not completing the Lacrimosa? Well, again, I was intending to feed the first half of Lacrimosa to AI and to see if it could complete it, because the technology has progressed to the point it can do that. Unfortunately, it wouldn't let me, because it said this is an existing work by an existing artist and we don't have permission from the artist, who is Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. So I fired off an email to him, but I don't think we're going to hear back anytime soon. I do have, I think, a couple of ways around it, but I think I'm going to save completing the Lacrimosa for a future session. So there is our introduction. Lots and lots of talk. Suno versus Zusmeyer. Well, let's see, shall we? I'm going to press the magic button here to take us into Udio first of all. And I'm just going to show you here. So this is the main interface, and many of you have seen this one before. Here are some of the ones that I created earlier. And if I go over to Suno, again, you can see we've got Agnus Dei here, we've got Benedictus, we've got Sanctus. I've created a few that we can have a listen to. Before we listen to anything, though, I'm going to set both Suno and Udio a composing. Okay, so what we do for both of them is we click Create. And in Suno, it opens up this window here. And I'm going to want the custom option, because I'm going to want to put my own lyrics in. You can have it, of course, have it just create an instrumental piece. And you can have it generate lyrics for you. If you want any kind of music, it will generate for you. But we're going to use the lyrics that we have said we're going to use. And so let's start off with a Sanctus. I'm just going to copy and paste in this document I've got over here, and you can see it's as said, Sanctus, 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 Dominus Deus Sabaoth, pleni sunt caeli et terra, gloria tua, hosanna in excelsis, and so on. Now I'm going to put the prompt underneath, style of music, and that's where I put what I want it to sound like. And so as you see, classical chorus and orchestra, Mozart Requiem, joyful, joyous, bright, Hosanna major orchestra. And then the title, I'm going to put Sanctus. And then down here, I click Create, and it's going to make 2 versions of that. Okay, and to be honest, it's pretty quick. But whilst it's doing that, I'm going to go over to Udio, and I'm going to click Create again. Oh no, it's it's creating a heist planned and executed by a group of cats, spy jazz bossa nova. It's not what I asked it to do. That was its suggestion. I meant to click create at the side. I'm not going to stop it creating the bossa nova cats heist music, because that sounds like fun. But instead, we're going to go over here. We're not going to create too much in that vein, fabulous as it sounds. So I'm going to take the prompt, classical chorus and orchestra. I'm going to put it in at the top here. Bossa Nova cat heist, love it. And then down here I'm going to click, there's 2 options for the model, okay, and this is where things get interesting. The original version that we've been using is Udio 32, and this generates clips of 30 seconds or 32 seconds, and it uses 2 credits. Now you get 10 credits per day for free. And you can buy more. I have bought a month's worth of Udio. This is all licensed, and I'm now going to use Udio 130. So this is the newest model. This is the most up-to-date model, and things have moved on substantially. Down here, we've got the option for auto-generated lyrics. No, we're going to write our own lyrics, and in fact, we're going to paste in Sanctus, 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 Dominus Deus, and so on. Down here. Now, this is where things have moved on since we last explored Udio together. And for some reason, I can't seem to scroll down. Where's that? Let's click down here. There we go. So just below that, you can unfold this, and it says prompt strength, lyric strength, and these sliders allow you to set how close do you want it to stick to the prompt, how close do you want to stick to the structure of the lyrics. And let's go for 60%. Clarity, I'm going to turn that up. That's the quality of the sound. We're going to use the latest model, and I'm just going to have to extend this up slightly. Bear with me a moment. There we go, generation quality, and I want that to be ultra. Now that's going to take a little bit longer to generate, and so I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to unfold that, and we should be ready now, if it will let me, to click create. Right, whilst that's working, let's have a look at the other one. So we've got two here, Sanctus. Let's press the, right, we've got one that's 1 minute 21 and one that's 3 minutes 59. Let's try the 1 minute 21 first. So this is, I haven't heard this one at all. This is Suno. Let's give it a go. Okay, so we're off to we've made a start at least. I think if you heard that coming through the wall, and perhaps you'd had a couple of refreshing zesty beverages, you might think that sounds classical. It's not desperately good. There's no structure really to it. It's sort of classical-ish, but I wouldn't say that that is going to make Zusmeyer worry in any way. How about this other one here, which is a bit longer?
Sanctus, 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 Benedictus, 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 Gloria
Not done yet. Okay, we're going to pause that. I'm going to put it back on screen. Let's have a look. So that's definitely better. Definitely better. Still struggling with getting the word setting to sound right. There's a lot of gabbled lyrics, a lot of moments where where a classical composer would almost certainly set the words in a more recognizable and a more singable way. Harmonically, it's definitely better than the first one, but we are looking now at something that is, you know, if the first one was, I don't know, if I'd have given the first one 2 out of 10, we're probably at a 4 or a 5 out of 10 for that. That's definitely better. Let's have a look at Udio. So this one had a slight problem, so I've had to sort of reset it slightly. Let's have a listen to one of its ideas of what a Sanctus could look like or sound like. Here we go.
Sanctus, 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 Dominus Deus, Dominus Deus, Sanctus.
I've heard enough. So that's the best so far. Doesn't sound like Mozart though. It sounds more like Schubert. It's got elements there of Lieder. It's got elements of opera. Actually, there's elements of 19th century, perhaps early 19th century. It sounds a bit too operatic. I don't mean big and fills the room. I just mean in terms of the style. It's not a traditional church sounding requiem. It's really impressive though, the sound quality. This is Udio. This is with the ultra generation quality. This is with the better clarity. You can really tell the difference there. Let's try another one from Udio. Here we go.
Dominus Deus, Sabbath Rei, Benedictus,
I like that. Nice 9/8 suspension. Ooh. Ooh. Slightly botched the cadence. Okay, so I love the fact that as we go, it's getting better and better. Oh yeah, we heard them. It's getting better and better. And there were huge amounts of moments in that where I thought, oh, I could be inspired by that. I didn't at any point think it's a masterpiece, because there were big chunks of it that were, way out of the stylistic boundaries that we'd set. It did not sound classical. Absolutely not. You could make the case for that being perhaps what's known as neoclassical, which is a modern composer writing within the boundaries of classical music, but bringing in elements. Composers like Stravinsky did that, for example. And there were some bits of it that were really very nice. It did go a bit big at one point, but I think overall, I think that was a solid 6 out of 10. Well done, Udio. Right, let's pop back to the world of Suno and see how it's getting on. Sorry to press this magic button here and show you what's going on screen. So if I go to the very bottom here, so we've got so we've had these new ones. Let's set this with the Benedictus. So just as before, I'm going to go up the side here. I think Udio wins round 1. Let's put this in here. So classical solo, but lovely. Benedictus. And I'm thinking, because Udio is the paid version, Suno is not. So to be really fair, let's see if it will do 4 of them for me. Okay, and we can check. So I'm going to do double the number with Suno, giving it twice as many chances as I am with Udio. Okay, so back over to Udio, and I'm going to put the Benedictus words and the instructions in to generate. Exactly the same otherwise though, same prompt strength, same lyric strength. fact, I might even turn the prompt strength up a bit. I definitely want classical singers. I definitely want an orchestra. Good. Create. Okay, now, as we are waiting, shall we hear just this as a little bit of an amuse-bouche, okay? A little bit of a sorbet. Oh, this is interesting. We do not generate artist likenesses without permission, so they've replaced Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart with some prompts around him. So rather than Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, it's classical, it's 18th century, and so on. So that's just to be clear. Let's have a little bit of musical sorbet. Let's see what it's come up with. This is totally unexpected. Let's have Whiskers of Intrigue. This is not going to replace Mozart's Requiem, but if you were sitting in the cinema, this might be a good soundtrack for a film. Here we go. Okay. So it's a soundtrack to a film. It's not a song. Let's have Feline Shadows, which is with the same random prompt. I have to say, I quite like that. Soraya in Brazil, this one's for you. Nice bit of bossa nova. Welcome to the Starlight Lounge, everyone. Now, of course, this is, although it's a bit of fun, a serious point here, of course, is that if you need music, if you are a content creator, if you want a soundtrack for your movie, for your film, something you want to upload to YouTube, if you're making a documentary about the origins of crochet hooks, whatever you want, you can generate the music in this, and then you're not going to get copyright struck when it's put up on YouTube. Worth considering. Let's pop back to the world of Suno. That was a nice little interlude. Now it's got 4 settings of the Benedictus for us. Let's start off with the first one here, 3 minutes 59. We won't necessarily listen to all of it. I think we'll be pretty clear from the start whether it's got the prompt right or not. Here we go. This is Suno. Okay, word setting all over the place. Stress is in the wrong place. Yeah, 3 out of 10. Okay, let's see if it's done any better on the second one. Okay, I'd be willing to give this one a bonus mark for actually following some of the classical harmonic traits and tropes. With one exception, one of the movements to the cadence was rushed. It didn't sound authentic, but having the soloist come in and people in the live chat saying operatic, yes, but bear in mind that the Benedictus has a quartet, which is very operatic, and then the choir come in. I think we can make an allowance of that in the Benedictus. But for me, it's the setting of the words again. The qui venit, wouldn't be qui venit, it would be qui venit. qui ven, and actually knowing where the emphases are and setting the text appropriately is a big part of the task. Zusmeier so far is wiping the floor with Suno. Let's have a listen to the third one. Ooh. Okay. Okay, the use of unison is very good. Yeah. Okay, ended a little bit too abruptly. I think that's the best thing Suno's produced for us so far. I'd give that a 6 out of 10. That's some really solid classical writing there. I really liked how the tenor kind of came in and grabbed everyone's attention. It was suitably florid. The use of unison. That's very, very classical. That's very, very Mozart. Very, very high in the use of these German and Italian sixths and so on. Yeah, again, some of the word setting wasn't very elegant, wasn't very artful. That is yet to be developed, I think. And as we listen through this afternoon, that's going to be, I think, a unifying trait. It doesn't understand the text, and more importantly, it doesn't understand how the text should be set musically in order for it to be not just set, but set in a satisfying way, a way that makes sense. But it's definitely better. Just those of you who were watching these AI sessions way back at the beginning of this year will remember how terrible this all sounded. This is 6 months on. It is incredible. Let's have the fourth one that Suno set, and then I'll go over to Udio, which I think will be better. Here we go. Qui venit. And it's in D major, which is nice. Benedictus qui venit. Again, it's sort of middling in terms of the word setting. The sound quality is not very good. I like that, the tenor had a bit of character. I suspect if it went on a bit longer, let's just jump to the middle of it. It's a bit unfair to just judge it on the first 30 seconds. Oh, hang on. Oboe and strings. Ooh. Okay, yeah. As I say, that's half marks, and that's being generous. That's the Benedictus. That's the best that Suno can do for us at the moment. Bear in mind, this is a very, very difficult task to achieve. I am genuinely actually quite impressed with Suno at this point. Bear in mind, it's not charging me anything to do this. This is free. I'm going to put Agnus Dei into the oven with Suno, because this will be fairly quick. And I'm going to change this to Angus. That's always the Agnus Dei. Oh, there we go. Right, so I'm going to let Suno chunter away with that. Let's pop over to the world of Udio. Okay. And let's try Songs of the Divine. We've got 4 here for some reason. I don't remember pressing it twice, but looks like I did. Let's have Songs of the Divine, which is our Benedictus, the first from the world of Udio. Quite excited. Here we go. Okay. I don't know what that instrument is in the right hand can, but this is... Oh, she was sharp there. Ooh. Harmonically, that's not quite right. That was more French fluoride, but this is quite something, though. Bassoons just for Gloria. Slightly bodged that word setting. Not quite. Yeah, that's not Mozart. Ooh. Hello, Mr. Brahms. There's even the sound of the violins putting down their bows at the end. It's okay. That's without doubt the best we've had so far, and you can tell because we listened to the whole thing, and that is increasingly the case with AI. You know very quickly, nope, and you find yourself drawn in. I've done that recently with songs. Let's listen to the other one, but that one so far, I'd give that an 8 out of 10. I really would. I think you could play that to somebody who knows some stuff about music, maybe not a trained musician or a music professor, but you could play that to someone who liked classical music. They'd say, oh, that's nice, who wrote that? And they wouldn't necessarily think it was AI. And they'd say, well, who's the soprano? And right, let's have a listen to Eternal Praise. This is the other Benedictus. Ooh. Word setting's not great. It's nice to have an alto, though. Or mezzo. The counter melody is excellent with the violins. Oh, chromaticism. Good. Oh, don't know what happened there. That's not... Okay, that was an interesting little meandering tune from the violins and the woodwinds. That's not Mozart, but there's so much about that if, when we get to the point in, I think, 6 months, where you can download that as stems, as in individual lines, and convert it then to MIDI, convert it to a score, and then edit it and create what you actually want. So fix the things that are wrong with it and do so in a very specific way. And then give it back to the AI engine and say, perform this score now using the same sounds. That is when we've arrived at the point where this is effectively, to continue the theme, our Salieri. AI will be sat at the end of our bed saying, you go too fast one moment, please, but we'll be able to help us produce this music. Interesting stuff. Well, we've had a go at this. I think the winner of the Benedictus is the first of those two. That was Songs of the Divine by Udio. So Udio is 2 out of 3 so far. Let's go back to the world of Suno for the Agnus Dei. Here we go. Okay, it's only generated me 1, interestingly. So let's hit create whilst we're listening to that other one. Let's see if it'll do it. Yes, because sometimes it oddly enough, it flags copyright-free words and copyright-free composers. Says, no, you're not allowed to do this because it's copyright. YouTube does the same thing. This is where the algorithm is not actually intelligent enough to be able to tell the difference. Okay, let's see. Agnus Dei, Suno, take one. Oh, that's big. Don't know what time signature that's in. Sounds very cheery as well for an Agnus. Oh. Okay. 4 out of 10. If we're being generous. In fact, if we're being real sticklers, it wasn't slow, it wasn't mournful, it wasn't an adagio, it wasn't minor. There was a choir, there was an orchestra, it had Mozart-y sort of elements to it. It's far too cheery for an Agnus Dei. Let's have another one. Major. No, words setting all over the place. I'll have it do 2 more. Let's have the third one. Agnus, fair enough. Ah. It's better. Too many syllables, Mr. Suno. When we need more melisma, more opportunities to run the notes on a single syllable. Let's give it 5 chances. We've had 3. This is number 4 before we go over to Udio, which is, I think, going to win it. Oh. Harmonically, it's, yeah. Again, it sounds like classical music played too loud through a wall. You can just, you can hear sort of concepts of chords, but not so much a structure. Okay, Suno, this is your last chance. See if you can impress us with the final Agnus Dei. Here we go. This is the best one so far. So close. Oh, I like that. That's fun. Bonus mark for the timpani. And for not knowing how to finish. Dum dum da dum 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 dum. Yeah. Bonus mark for the timpan trumpets used as Mozart would have, literally just tonic and dominant, yeah. That's as Mozart would have used, and just let's have that again. Let's give it bum 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 bum. bum, 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 bum. Okay, you get the idea. I think that's the best so far from Suno. Okay, so we have to take our hats off to it. This is so much better than it was even back in, I think we were last doing this in the summer. Let's see how Udio has coped with this. Eternal Rest. I think that's appropriate for Agnus Dei. So let's try its first one here. And this is to crown the champion. Here we go. Okay. Musically, I'm enjoying it. No choir yet. Some might say that's for the best, but no, it has to be a choral setting. Have we forgotten something, Udio? Right, I'm going to skip ahead. Okay, he's given us a lovely instrumental piece. And Sheila's quite right. It's a bit on the jolly side. It doesn't sound mournful. So that's a rare slip from Udio. Let's try another one. Oh, unexpected guitar in the choral area. Oh. Okay, it's nice. Very nice. Okay, it's gone completely mad. So we're gonna have to give that one to Suno. So it's 2-1. Udio, Sanctus and Benedictus generated it for us this afternoon, and Suno did a better job of the Agnus this afternoon. But I do have to play you this. This is the Requiem of Solitude. This was earlier on, and so this is an Udio generated one. I promise you this was just this morning, but because we're doing this live, we have to give the Agnus award to Suno this afternoon. But listen to Requiem of Solitude. Even in D minor, I love it. Oh. Again, the bassoons give it that classical tinge. Oh, harmonically, some interesting stuff there. That's an Agnus. Now you see, I'm not sure that Tollis Peccata Mundi. I think that's more of the Missa Tango style. That's got that Latin American staccato and syncopation feel to it. But all of those diminished seventh chords very, very classical indeed. And, you know, actually, I think it's fair to say that Udio, in that instance, when it was just sort of pulling together its ideas, managed to capture some of the fury and some of the power of an Agnus. And you can set it quietly and gently, as indeed Susmai did, or you can set it with lots of fire and lots of brimstone, as, well, many other composers have done. So that is our little whistle-stop tour through the world of Suno and through the world of Udio. And, well, it was never really a fair fight It's putting Suno up against Usmaya, putting really a soulless computer algorithm, no matter how advanced, up against a human being, and not just any human being, a human being who knew and loved Mozart as a friend and as a master. You know, Mozart had named his youngest son after this young chap, and here he was. He just lost his friend, and his emotions are poured out in the music to finish the Mozart Requiem. So I think it's fair to say, can AI finish Mozart's Requiem? Technically, yes. Should it? I don't think so yet. I think we are at the point where the tools are almost there to be able to enhance composers' intentions and creative goals. It's nearly at the point where anyone out there, those of you watching who love music but haven't had the opportunity to study it for 3-4 decades, it will allow you to create music that you can hear in your head, and will allow you it'll actually democratize music in a very real way, but it's not going to replace composers. In order for an artificial intelligence to truly understand, particularly choral music, it needs to have an understanding of the human condition. It needs to know what it is to literally stand and walk around, because that's where we get our sense of rhythm from. That's where we get our sense of pulse. It needs to understand the humor in life, the ludicrous nature of fun and loud versus quiet, and as Haydn often did, making people jump, giving them the surprise in the middle of a symphony, not because the music had to, but because Haydn wanted to. And I think most importantly, in a Requiem Mass, the AI doesn't understand the human condition, that all life ends, all life is finite, and that music needs to reflect that emotion and that power. When we listen to a requiem, it's not just notes on a page, it's speaking to us, and we are communicating with the composer through this music. So I think it's fair to say we've got a way to go, but I'm really genuinely impressed with the technology and how it's developing. Of course, we've had some fun, we've had some extra jazz, and I think I'm going to leave you with a little bit of Feline Shadows to send you off on your way. If you've enjoyed today, please do consider subscribing to Homechoir, because we're all cool cats here. We do all sorts of music, and tomorrow we shall be back with a funky song called Feeling Hot, Hot, Hot. Next week we've got a Japanese children's folk song, we've got some Bruckner. It's going to be a great week, but in the meantime, hope you've enjoyed it. Do share this video widely, and we'll see you soon. Take care everyone, all the best, stay cool, bye.